BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we've got a special guest. We got Coahoma girls basketball coach Joe Mireles.
Yeah, and I'm excited about this one. Coach Mireles has done a tremendous job with Coahoma this year. They enter a big game Friday at home against Wall at 22-8, 9-3 in a really tough district. And I think it's just gonna be fun to talk to him because I think Coahoma basketball in general, boys and girls, has been one of the really kind of under the radar stories this season. Both of those teams are having really strong seasons. The girls are doing, what we just talked about with the record they have. The boys have a win over San Angelo TLCA, which has been kind of the class of that district in recent years. They got a win over Jim Ned. So there's a lot of really good basketball being played at Coahoma right now, and it's going to be fun to talk to Coach Mireles about the Bulldogettes specifically because this team is really starting to turn some heads finally and doing some pretty special things and really part of a pretty dramatic turnaround after missing the playoffs last year.
All right, before we get going with this week's show, we need to thank a couple of our sponsors. We'll start with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of KLAX 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, new or used, give Rob a shout. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Call him at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. Also, before we get going, I want to remind you YouTubers that if you enjoy our videos, please hit the subscribe button. Also, after that, hit that little bell so you'll get notifications each and every time that Big Country Preps comes up with a new video, either a podcast or what we call quick quotes. Anyway, hit that little button, that subscribe button, won't you please? We appreciate it.
And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the show. We're going to get talking to Coach Mireles here pretty quick, and it looks like he's about ready. So let's go ahead and get him on.
And joining us now, Coahoma girls basketball coach Joe Mireles. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, we're seeing a dramatic turnaround, a dramatic improvement out of your ball club this year. Tell us a little bit about that. What are the biggest factors?
Well, I believe it's after last year's. We had a good squad coming back, but we just didn't live up to our potential. And after the season ended, it left a big old sour taste in our girls. Um, so I guess when the season was over, they decided that they were gonna spend the summer and every time possible they had together to improve their game. So that's been a big difference, especially and Maddie Renteria.
Um, Coach, you're walking around or hobbling around on a bad wheel. What happened? And how's that affecting your ability to work?
Uh, I went to go get some mats to work on her for our post, and it was just a freak accident. I stepped over a backpack and snapped the inside and the outside of my ankle, and that's been it's been hard on, I guess, on me because I haven't been able to be at practice like I want to. But I have a really great staff in Christina Cox and Alyssa Peterson, who have taken up the slack while the days that I've been gone while I had surgery on my leg and stuff.
Okay, so you're missing practices and going to the games.
Well, I finally went back to practice this Monday was my first practice back since having surgery about 2 weeks ago.
Coach, along those lines, y'all are coming off a really big, thrilling win at Merkel, 51-49, to improve to 22-8 overall, 9-3 in district. Just what is a big road win like that when you're in the thick of a district race? What does that say about how far the program has come, and just what does it say about these girls?
Um, I'll tell you what, I believe this was I know we've improved throughout the year, but I believe this game really solidified how our girls were coming together because at the start of our game, it doesn't show, but we were down 16-2,
Mm.
and we did not really melt or anything. They just, rose up to the occasion, and like I told them, it was going to take one possession at a time because Merkel was really playing really really well, and I told them, we don't have one shot that's 16 points, so we're going to have to work our way back into it, and they did. They played solid defense and worked their way back into the game.
And that leads you into another big game coming up later this week against a good Wall team. What are some keys with that one at home to kind of avenging that 55-51 loss y'all suffered there?
Uh, it's all gonna. I believe it's just gonna come down to defense. Our girls have really bought into to defense. We play man to man, and it's just going to come down to them and having our rotations and them talking on defense on where to get, because Wall is really really solid. They got two really big posts, and we have to do a really good job of defending those other two girls right there.
Coach, when you have the likes of Jim Ned and Wall in your district, that can make things tough, but it also gets you ready for postseason play. If you're going into postseason play and have faced teams like that, that's uh, that's a positive for you.
Yes, sir. At the beginning of the season when we started to, because Wall and Jim Ned and Merkel are really really good teams, and in order for us to prepare for district, we went up north and played in tournaments up in the Lubbock area. In Abernathy, we went up there and we went and played in the Brownfield tournaments in order to get ready for district. And then once you come into district, um, it's not such a big eye opener, because we're used to seeing competition, but that really prepared us for district. And then playing Jim Ned and Wallen Merkel just get us ready for the playoffs now.
Tell us about your region, how difficult it is, and what's it going to take for anybody to get out of this thing?
Uh, I I'll tell you what, we played Idalou, and of course, played Jim Ned. Jim Ned, I believe, is one or two in the state, and Idalou's also in the top five. And I'll tell you what, it's gonna take a night to where both, whoever plays is gonna have to really be on their game. You can't be off.
And talking specifically about y'all's team, one thing some people may not know is y'all are still pretty young. You've got some underclassmen in key roles. Along those lines, how important, and you mentioned Isabella earlier, how important has she and the other seniors been to this team's success, just in terms of bringing that leadership and leading some of those younger players?
Uh, they've been tremendous. We have three seniors. Of course, you said Isabella Cox. We have Brent Rogers and Cahill Lewis. And whenever we're running through practice, they do a tremendous job of explaining to the other guards, this is what we need to do, and this is how we get there. And their leadership has been really really big, because without them, and they're calm, and they've seen it before, like we've been in this district, and they just tell the other girls what to expect, and they've been really really good leaders.
And just how exciting is it to have, some of the underclassmen you do have? You mentioned Maddie Renteria, a girl who really kind of exploded onto the scene last year. I know Gabby Cox is playing as a freshman and doing some nice things for you. Just how exciting is it to coach to have some of those young girls to mix in, to know that you're going to get to watch grow over the next several years?
It's real exciting. I mean, and it's been really really good here at Coahoma, and then we got some incoming. Well, they're eighth graders for now. We got a couple of girls that are going to be coming up. They're going to be filling the roles whenever Issa and Brandon Cahill graduate. But we're, I wouldn't say that, like we're empty, the cupboard's empty or anything. We got some girls really coming up and having this success right now within our program for the last during this year has really, got those girls ready to get in and jump into basketball.
Coach, can you talk about the fan support you get out there at Coahoma? It's my experience when I'm around Coahoma, a Coahoma game, that the fan support you get rivals anybody in the big country. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, our fans are man, they're great. They come out to every game and they support us, and a majority of them travel. But I tell you what, I think this atmosphere now that we're having success, the boys are having success, the gyms are full all the time. So it's really really exciting. It's a good environment for our team. They like like the yelling and cheering. It's all enclosed in there, and it really gets them excited to go.
And the last one of the things we do with a lot of the basketball coaches we have on our podcast is kind of let them be king for a day, kind of look at something around basketball specifically, that if you had maybe one thing you could change about high school basketball or about high school girls basketball, whatever you'd like to do, what's maybe that one thing that you'd like to see done maybe a little differently than it is if you were that king for the day?
I would like to add a shot clock. I know that's been a topic that's coming up, the last couple of years, but I would really like to see a shot clock, and because I don't like the delay. When sometimes some teams get up, 10 points on you and all that stuff, and they keep play keep away from you, and I really don't like that part. So that if I had a chance to my thing, I would add a shot clock.
Gotcha.
That is on a lot of coaches' wish lists. I mean, we hear that quite a bit, actually. There's a lot of high school coaches that would love to see a shot clock. My question about that is it practical in your viewpoint, coach, to find somebody who can come in and, a lot of schools have a hard time finding just a clock operator or a scoreboard operator. Can you find somebody that, it can be good and reliable to run the shot clock? I guess that's a question in some places.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. It's for us in Coahoma, it wouldn't be tough because I mean everybody, our administration, our coaches, everybody jumps in. Whenever you ask, can somebody run the clock or whatever. I mean, we never have any problem finding anybody. But for other schools, I think that would might be an issue.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be keeping a close eye on the Coahoma Bulldogettes the rest of the way. Good luck to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and go Bulldogettes and Bulldogs.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Coach.
Thank you.
And that was Coahoma head girls basketball coach Joe Mireles. And uh, of all the teams in our area, all the girls teams, Coahoma may have been really is showing the most improvement of any program that we've got in the area. They've taken quite a leap. This is a team that's going into the playoffs, and this is a team that lost twice as often as it won just a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about at the outset, a big turnaround there, and they made the playoffs the year before, and have some special players. Isabella Cox being a senior, one of them. They've got some girls, Baylor Wright, who's been a part of that program for I think 3 years now, and then Maddie Renteria, the sophomore guard. Some really good guard play, and that's kind of led the turnaround. But this is a group that I think has finally just kind of started believing. You look at that district, and obviously Jim Ned's kind of in a class of its own. I think even the coaches would probably say as much there, but after that, it's a really good, really deep district. And right now, Cahoma's playing as well as anybody. This game they've got against Wall on Friday is going to be a massive matchup, which could well decide the number 2 seed in a good district. So the fact that Coahoma is sitting here with 22 wins, before they've hit the end of district play, tells you what the job that Coach Mireles has done, and just I think the growth that these girls have made. So it's a fun story. I think, like I said before, I think this is one of the more under the radar stories in the big country. There are a lot of people that haven't been paying attention to as much attention to the Coahoma basketball programs as they probably should have. But it's cool to
They've
see
flown under
them
the
start.
radar.
Yeah, it's cool to see them
So
starting to get some of that recognition and that they've earned. This team has definitely earned the attention it's getting now.
yes, absolutely. And with that, it's about time to close the books on this edition of the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to quickly remind you that we've got three separate subscription packages here at Big Country Preps. We got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6 month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month. And that final one there is $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
We'd also like to remind you that if you see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, those are available for purchase. We have photo downloads available for $7, as well as some keepsakes and prints. So make sure you check those out. As you scroll through the site, you'll notice pretty quickly that we take a lot of photos from these games we are at, and we try to make it to a whole lot of sporting events over the course of a school year. So that's something we really enjoy doing, and that's something we are very proud of here at BigCountryPreps.com.
All big country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.